And now for a review of what's making the headlines in the papers this morning, let's bring in a RISE analyst, Constance Ikoku. Good morning, Constance.
Good morning, Charles. You're late today. Sorry.
Well, the ladies have gone to celebrate International Women's Day. So what are you doing here?
Well, I have to work. We can't all, zoom off like that. Somebody has to represent.
Don't take me seriously. That's a joke before.
All right, I know.
They make it official.
I know. That's okay. To look at the papers with us this morning, we have Eniola Akinkuotu. He is the Chief International Correspondent of the Africa Report. Hello there and welcome to the program. We'll begin with This Day. In This Day, Cardoso, National Theatre catalyst to unlocking $25 billion in potential creative industry. And then we have a photo of the Minister of Art, Culture and Tourism, Hannatu Musawa, launching the Abuja Creative City. The governor of the Central Bank, Olayemi Cardoso, spoke while touring the National Arts Theatre, which is being refurbished to a world-class facility, and this project is important to the government because of what the creative sector can generate for the economy. I mean, Aniela, it is correct that the Nigerian creative sector can become a game changer just with a little bit more attention paid to it. So the sorry state of the National Arts Theatre is a reflection of national neglect, and hopefully the government now wants to turn this around.
Oh, certainly. If you look at the United States, for instance, which is the entertainment capital of the world, look at Broadway in New York. These sort of things that have helped the economy of New York, has contributed to the economy of New York. And I mean, Nigeria too has, after Hollywood and Bollywood, Nollywood is number 3. So there's huge potential there, and it's a shame that we've allowed this national, this national monument to rot away all this while. So it's good that they're paying attention to it. They've been on it for a very long time. I know Alhaji Lai Mohammed, when he was Minister of Culture and Tourism, was on it, and finally, it's good to see that things are taking shape, and hopefully it'll be better maintained this time around. I think it's PPP from what I understand.
It is.
Yeah. So
in fact, we should have
now
several of such structures across the country, not just in Lagos, actually.
Yeah, but well, because you know that Lagos also is the entertainment capital of Nigeria,
right.
So it's quite understandable. It's also where you have most of the museums. You have Moson as well, the the Music Society of Nigeria. So when it comes to the arts, Lagos has been ahead.
Right.
But I agree with you too. There's a need to actually have it in different parts of the country, like the way you have in the US. You have Hollywood in California, and then in New York you have Broadway. So it's good for all this sort of for these countries to have different. Everything shouldn't just be concentrated in one spot.
If you have a national stadium in Lagos, why not have a national theater in Abuja?
Right. Abuja is the capital. Even in other regions, disperse people so that you can create those jobs across the country. Okay, let's move on to Daily Independent this morning. We have the story, sexual harassment. Senate is a place for matured minds, not controversy, according to the First Lady. First Lady Ramio Tinubu weighing in on that Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan brouhaha, saying that senators are doing the needful. Remember, the First Lady served in the Senate for a while. She was there for 12 years. Let's now pair that story with The Guardian. Related in The Guardian. In The Guardian, we have pro-people legislation shadowed by House drama, intrigues, furore as Senate slams 6-month suspension on Akpoti-Uduaghan. So this Guardian headline is apt. It's the real business of the legislature is being obscured by drama over sitting arrangement and later allegations of sexual harassment. The Senate has now suspended Akpoti-Uduaghan. Your take on these two stories, Eniola?
I was here, was it last week, where we spoke about this thing, and I said, look, it seems there's more to it. And immediately after I left the studio, it seems that was when Senator Natasha came in here to have that, is it the famous or the infamous interview with...
yes, infamous, really.
Yeah, so you... two things I'll take away from this. First of all is that it may seem she didn't really have a good grasp of the Senate rules, because even when she was going to submit a petition she didn't do it the right way again. So they kept on hammering her, finding fault. So I think she should have done her homework better. That's on the one side. Now, I'm not really comfortable with the treatment method to her. First of all, it may seem that the Senate likes to operate in theory, the Senate is a democratic institution, but in practice, it functions as if it's a cult. And you look at it this way. Senator Shehu Sani said yesterday that when he revealed the allowances and the special allowances of the Senate, that was back in, I think, 2016 or 2017. He was nearly suspended for 6 months. So there's a way they function in that institution that regardless of the party you are in, there are two things. They protect the presiding officer at all costs, and they always protect their own special interests. Remember, too, that Natasha, when she came here last week, Senator Natasha, when she came here last week, she said also that, that there were some lapses in the way, the financial transparency in the Senate, that money that is meant for committee, you can actually just take it away and all that. That one was also part of it. Now, I'll say something. Sorry, let me just finish on this. They said, part of the suspension is that for 6 months, she will not come to the National Assembly. That's at least 9 months because you can't recess and all that. That's number one. Number two, they're stripping her of her security. And number three, no allowances, no salary. I think that one is too much because when Ikwerimadu was convicted in 2023, his salary and allowances did not stop. He continued to collect his allowances even while he was in prison in UK. When Dariye was convicted for stealing money while he was governor of Plateau State, his salary and allowances did not stop. When Ojus Okalu was convicted, his salary and allowances did not stop. So I think it's extreme. And I'm happy that at least that there's some opportunity for reconciliation. I think that should happen.
Right. All these gentlemen you mentioned never had any clash with the Senate president, remember? So you know what I mean.
That's what I said to that.
Yes. But Charles, you're correct. So, I mean, some people have said the punishment is a bit harsh. And when you watch the proceedings, you can see that someone like Senator Amoro, this suggests 3 months, but they shut it down immediately. I mean, it looks like Natasha made some mistakes, making a scene out of a sitting arrangement, and so like you said in your letter, trying to protect the institution. There are rules and laws, so you should definitely follow them, but it's what it is now. She's heading to court, so we're going to be hearing more about the story. But the first lady, let me read what she said, which is important. She did advise, I quote her, "Women, raise yourself. Don't be in a position that men will be talking to you in ways that are unacceptable. You can always shut them down before they start." So this is talking about the sexual harassment and your conduct and behavior as a woman. I mean, some might disagree with her, but this is what she's saying because she has also been in the House for 12 years, so in the Senate. Okay, let's move on to a Daily Trust. Now to a human interest story. Transport fares remain high despite petrol price drop. This is an investigation by Daily Trust. We're not feeling the impact yet of that reduction, both for inter and intrastate transportations. In Lagos, a litre of petrol reduced to a 60 litre from 925. So the thing, though, is that majority of the fuel stations are not selling at this reduced price, and so you can imagine that transporters won't reduce their prices. But in addition to that, Charles, once prices go up in this country, it's difficult to come down.
Absolutely, particularly transport fares are always defying the law of gravity, whatever the circumstances. The moment you have a little bit of fuel scarcity and the transportation prices are marked up, even when fuel becomes available and the prices come down, the cost of transport remains where it is. I think we need a bit of regulation in the transport sector, particularly when it comes to fixing of transport fares. Yes, we understand that they go to great expenses, fueling their vehicles. I mean, those of us who are vehicle owners would actually sympathize with them.
And they go through extortion on the roads.
Yes, exactly.
That's a factor too.
Well, I think, the fuel prices go up and then they go down. the extortion remains where it is. So extortion is a constant. So they should not actually latch onto that to insist that the cost of transportation should remain high, right, even when the cost of petrol comes down.
All right, let's see the Punch this morning. A disturbing story, actually. 4 billion naira debt. Air Force men attack Ikeja Electricity Distribution Company, brutalize punchman others. The Air Force men invaded the premises when the ultimatum given to the disco to reconnect their power supply, which was disconnected because of a debt of 4 billion naira expired. So in the process, journalists that went to cover the story were assaulted, including others. They were beaten black and blue, according to the story. They were made to sit on the floor. These men came in a loaded military truck, vandalized doors, CCTV cameras, molested people, and you're like totally unacceptable. And this is not the first time we see this again and again, on top of the fact that they are owing.
And this is not the last time you're going to see such. That's the truth. I will say something. If you travel abroad, for instance, especially places like the United States, you have diners, restaurants where you see, signboards outside that they write, oh, if you are a serviceman, if you're in the military, you're entitled to 50% discount. Some will even say, oh, thank God, today is TGIF, free food or free drinks for the military. Why? Because the military there has been able to live up to the standards of society. But we come back here to Nigeria, nobody loves the military. Why? Because of things like this. For goodness sake, you are owing over 4 billion naira. You don't want to pay. And then you're not paying. And then when the IKEDC, or is it IE now, that's what they call themselves, they wanted to install meters. You refuse to allow them to come into the barracks. And it's very, very disappointing that there's been no reaction whatsoever from the authorities.
They need to say something.
They need to say
someone
something.
Has to be
now,
held
last year, AEDC alone said that over 42 billion naira was being owed their organization, and that the presidential villa, I think out of that, the presidential villa was owing over 500 million or so. I think Tinubu said they have cleared it. But you see, you have so many government agencies owing money.
Yeah.
How do you expect these organizations to function properly if they're being owed? A lot of them are already going under. They are swimming in debt. AMCON is already coming to take them over.
And it will be interesting to know whether these monies are allocated for these payments.
Most
and
times,
then they are not paid.
Yeah, most times it is. But you understand that, of course, in Nigeria, when you know how public accounts work in Nigeria. And it's so shameful that 26 years into democratic rule, we still have this sort of thing. It's just so shameful.
Yeah, such a shame. Let's see the other story, Charles. I'd like to bring you in here. New Telegraph newspaper. Terrorism financing. FG moves against Simon Ekpa. Others. We also have that in Daily Sun. Shall we pull up the Daily Sun? Terrorism. FG lists Simon Ekpa, 15 others as financiers, so the accounts have been frozen. Let's pair it with the story again in Vanguard, The Guardian, that is related. The Guardian. FG plans new rehabilitation camp for bandits and terrorists. So this camp will be based in the Northwest to encourage what they term low-risk terrorists and bandits to lay down arms. So this de-radicalize, rehabilitate, and reintegrate has been on for a while. Your view on this, Charles?
So the de-radicalization thing has been on for a while, but then I wonder what happened to the program in the first place. There are stories that some of the so-called de-radicalized Boko Haram operatives who, so to say, repented, were taken through the de-radicalization process, and some of them were probably even absorbed into the armed forces. But I hear that they've gone back to their evil old ways. They just simply carry their guns and then fade back into the bush. So I wonder how effective that was. So they now want to set up rehabilitation camps.
Another camp.
So I'm keeping my fingers crossed as far as that is concerned, because I am very, very skeptical about the whole process, particularly when it comes to welfare. Many of these guys actually join Boko Haram because, at least they get something to eat on a daily, and, a little bit of allowance here and there. We're also talking
about bandits and,
Oh, yes. So you see, the
this is criminality, actually.
The inducement is there. So when they come under pressure, then that's when they, so to say, repent. As for Simon Ekpa, I mean, I find that guy very amusing. You know, when he came under pressure from the Finnish authorities, where, you know, he is living in exile, he said, no, I am not a Masob leader. I am simply a content creator. So all the stuff he had been posting online for him were just content. So I mean, I find that really theatrical. But anyway, he's been officially branded a terrorist. So let's see how he will be able to explain his way out of that.
And his accounts were quickly frozen with others. We also want to see the accounts of so many of the kidnappers, the bandits, you know, criminals all across the country.
Do they use accounts?
And people that are
those guys collect their ransom in
but
cash.
You can also pick them up. There are people that are financing terrorism in this country. So
yeah, well, there was a list from Dubai, and they have not been picked up yet. We don't know who they are.
Right. Let's look at the international headlines. Daily Graphic, 68th Independence Anniversary, President unveils vision for self-reliance. And Yola, we've always known that to achieve true independence, African countries will have to move beyond political freedom to economic self-sufficiency. But for most African countries, almost 70 years after independence, we're still talking about this.
Yeah, self-reliance was the major theme of Kwame Nkrumah's speech on Independence Day, Ghana's Independence Day. And look, how many years now? Nearly 70 years. We are still on this path to it. So, I don't know. It seems that Africa is on this Israelite journey that is never ending. And now that Western countries are about to, you know, pull the plug or reduce foreign aid, you can see how we are running helter-skelter because we rely so much on the West for assistance. So, yes, this message resonates with me. I'm sure it resonates with so many people. But when are we going to start acting and stop talking?
Well, Ghana wants to start acting, so we'll see how that goes for them. Let's look at the Citizen. Storm, why no warning? South Africa has been hit, you know, with natural disasters. That photo there tells the story of destruction. KwaZulu-Natal affected by flooding. Pretoria, tornado, and Johannesburg, cloudburst that hit the city, uprooting trees, destroying bridges, and flooding houses. And then on to Mozambique as well. We have the story on Mozambique. We know that the country has not known peace since October last year. After the general elections, there was opposition. The opposition were disputing the results of that election, and the Frelimo-led government had really, you know, moved against the opposition, and 2 people died initially, and after that it caused a lot of crisis, leading to a serious unrest. We know that at least 700 people were shot at and some wounded, and the crisis continues in that country. Let's go on to iNewspaper. Gen Z jobless face benefit cuts if they aren't looking for work, according to Reeves. Rachel Reeves is the Chancellor of the Exchequer, and she says it is a travesty that millions of young people in the United Kingdom are neither in education, not in employment, and not in training. She's not having it. We need more. They need more money for defense and health. So she's going to cut that benefit that accrues to these people. Charles, quickly.
I wonder how the Gen Z reason. I mean, it's one generation that I've been trying so hard to understand, but the moment I get that close enough, I just see that they take the next sharp bend. So, I mean, you're not working, you're not going to school. What exactly are you doing? So, I mean, I'm being very conservative with my opinion here, but I think the government is on the right track. Get them working, otherwise, I mean, they just want to waste themselves or what?
Well, they need the money, so those cuts are coming. And finally, to the Guardian newspaper, a watershed moment. EU leaders finally agree huge defense spending rise. They push to support Ukraine after Trump dumped Ukraine or cut off sharing of intelligence and all of that. So then we're out of time. That's the much that we can take on the paper review today. Eniola Akinkuotu, Chief International Correspondent of the Africa Report, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for being here, Dr. Constance. I mean, the other ladies happen to be...
I covered for them.
Great. So that's all we have time for here on Daybreak. it's goodbye from me.